All right, we're live. So, heidi ho, fellow CMOs and CEOs. Welcome to the show of shows, the game changer, the bookend of a long and outlived topic. This is the webinar that is the definitive webinar on the death of webinars. My name is Brett Schklar, and I'm the managing partner at Grow Powerful. We're a community of fractional CMOs who happen to be the greatest growth and marketing minds in all of B2B technology. As such, I am the fractional CMO hunter looking for the best of the best to join our little shop of awesome and work with the most innovative, emerging B2B tech companies that either are VC or PE backed companies and put interim marketing leadership in place to fuel the next phase of growth. I'm here with the show producer, marketing manager, and the person who gives me hope on how great Generation Z will be and will save us all, Anna Anderson. And welcome to the Grow Up with Grow show. This live streamed on our podcast, our Vimeo and YouTube channels, as well as our blog. Basically, we're everywhere. And by the way, that's part of what we want to talk about today, about being everywhere, being a big part of everyone's conversation wherever they are, not necessarily wherever you are. So we'll talk about that quite a bit. Before we dive into that, though, we have lots of upcoming shows. Check us out at www.growpowerful.io. Go into the resources and events, and you'll see some of the upcoming ones. One of the ones I think is coming up next that I'm excited about is talking through the most important skill to have as a fractional CMO, as well as going into a couple other topics around the area of tools and skills to succeed as a fractional CMO. So now on with the show, the definitive webinar on the death of webinars. So let's dive into some of the juicy nuggets. First, I have to apologize to everyone on listening to me today. I lied to you. I called this a webinar, and it's not. But I do love the title of the definitive webinar on the death of webinars, so that's what we've got here today. I've been a long-time fan of webinars. Coupling that with a great content strategy, B2B tech companies have been successful in mapping to the buyer journeys and engaging prospects with webinars for years. I still go in every time we have something that we're planning to record and wonder on a daily basis how many people are going to be signed up for our webinar or our live stream events, even though it's the wrong metric to follow. And I'll talk about that in a moment as far as the wrong metrics and the right metrics to follow. It has been a saving grace during the pandemic to keep the spark alive, transfer knowledge, and build community in some cases. Webinars have been great for all of our sanity. Webinars have been great for happy hours. Webinars have been great for feeling like you're a part of a shared community when we all felt very alone during that time. So then what's different? Why is it that webinars need to die and something needs to replace it? Well, there's a lot of things. I'm going to dive into what's challenging in the world today that's causing a lot of that challenge. First off, we're all getting burned out with Zoom fatigue. We are tired of staring at screens. We'd rather stare at people. We're tired of being locked away in our home offices. We'd rather get out and about. At the same time, people are starting to return to office. And so more and more and more of those in-office meetings are taking place. People are heading back to the pre-pandemic nauseating levels of meeting overload. And so also now that we're over the pandemic, we're getting out and about and trying to do more things. And if we have an open 30, 45 minutes in our calendar, sitting in front of a computer and watching something at a predetermined time is not what we want to do. We've learned a lot during the pandemic about self-care. So let's take advantage of that. Also, our content consumption tastes have changed drastically. Podcasts continue to thrive. YouTube channels continue to grow. Being where people are out and about continues to be a more and more important tool. And we're sick and tired of hearing about free webinars, as if hearing a product pitch is surprisingly free, and then we should be glad that the only cost is the most valuable cost of all, our time. I still don't get the idea of a free webinar as a topic conversation. We also have even less patience than we did before. There's no doubt about it. There's no question about it. We have very little patience for the things that are not important to us. We're sick and tired of death by PowerPoint, right? So the number of PowerPoint presentations, keep your slides to yourself, please. We don't need it. We need to be entertained with stories. We want to engage with content as a two-way street, not a one-direction vomitorium of stuff being thrown at you. We need to talk about long-form, long-term content that sticks and lasts and gets to people when they are ready in their buying journey, not at a fixed time on a fixed schedule, in a fixed place, in a fixed way. The content must be where people are. The content needs to be available on podcasts. More people are listening to podcasts on their drives instead of listening to radio. More people are watching YouTube videos while they're out and about. More people are taking their pets out for walks or going outside or zoning out through a podcast where they don't have to look at a screen. Anywhere, but at a fixed time on a fixed day. So, we've talked about all the reasons why, or all of the evidence as to the murder of webinars. So if they're dead, what's replacing them? Well, I'm going to point to what we're doing here at Grow as a case study, as an example. We have Anna Anderson on our team, and we're very lucky to have her. She is basically a one-person show production machine. She takes these live stream events and she puts them out there into a lot of different channels in a lot of different ways. She and I work together to build up the content, to build up the ideas, and she gets it out there in all the places where you may be. I don't care if you're listening to this live stream live. I'm glad you are here, and it looks like we've got quite a few people here. But what's more important is that you listen to it when it's convenient for you. So I hope that you're here because this is a convenient time for you and this is interesting content for you. So record video or do live streams just like this. Publish to the places that your audiences are. It may be a podcast. It might be a recap video on LinkedIn. It might be on Facebook. It might be on TikTok. Wherever it is, put it where they are. It's a process, but it's a fun process. You'll get to iterate and improve each and every time by putting it in all these different places. Second thing is, let the landing pages for the content evolve and stay alive. So we have a landing page to where people can register and sign up for our events. But as soon as the event is over, that becomes a place where it's recorded. So I'll be doing a blog post summarizing all this stuff. And in there, it will have a link to where everything was. It will also have a link to the same landing page to where people signed up, but now they can listen to it at a later time. Publish the live stream on podcast, YouTube, Vimeo, as a summary blog post, as a tweet, as a LinkedIn post, everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. I can't say it enough. Share the content and make it a part of your overall content cadence. Make it available as a part of your workflows when certain buyer types signal an interest. So put it as a part of those workflows, a part of the sequences that you've mapped as part of the buyer journeys. Figure out where they belong in updating your existing sequences. Share it with current customers. Get their thoughts. Better yet, have them as guests on your show. Have some fun with it. Most importantly, don't bring a talking head of boredom. Bring personality, energy, and ideas. It's great when a new product is announced. It's great when there's a new feature. It's great when you're expanding into a new marketplace. But if you bring somebody into a webinar or you bring someone into a live cast and you bring somebody onto a podcast that is as entertaining as wood dying on out in the sun, then you're doing no service to yourself. You must provide some level of show value, showmanship, entertainment. So make sure that you've got the right people that are on. They can have a little bit of fun with this and can bring their real personality. They don't need to be the greatest show person on earth. They don't need to be the most engaging. But do not let anybody on that's going to create the death by PowerPoint, death by 100 slides. If the product features that you want to share can't be explained in a good story, those user stories that you learn about, then they shouldn't be shared at all. Avoid the slides if possible. Let the story tell the story. Bring the content to where your buyers are. Don't make them come to you. This is something I've iterated over and over again for many months, but most importantly for this session. Infotain. Give people the information, but in an entertaining way. Can you make it more fun? Can you make it more engaging? Have fun as a host, or have a host that is engaging and fun. Bring in guests. Ask fun questions. Things that really get people to understand people personally. Build that community. So I keep thinking about Russell Crowe in Gladiator, where he just says, as Marcus Aurelius, "Are you not entertained?" Gladiator? Anyone? No? Okay, I'll move on. So the big thing that I want to have take away is something that actually was brought up last week. I'm a part of several CMO communities, Chief Marketing Officer communities, and there's something that somebody brought up that is obvious, but I love the way it was brought up. And this was during a thing called the CMO Coffee Talk, which I love to be on Fridays. Someone said, building an audience is different. Building an audience is not building a community. And so I want to leave you with a thought that webinars are trying to build an audience. How many people signed up? How many people watched it? How many people did that? A community is going where they are and starting or sparking a conversation. So I think webinars need to die because fundamentally a webinar, even though it's used in multiple outlets, it tends to be a very one-way street of communication. What needs to replace it is live stream. What needs to replace it is the ability for people to comment, to communicate, to share, to give their thoughts. So are you building an audience or are you building a community? If you're building an audience, great. Stick with webinars. Maybe you're in an industry where that is okay. But if you're building a community, you're building engagement, you're building personality, you're bringing people together. And I believe that's the new direction, is not webinars, but community building events that are live streamed and that are bringing content to where people are. So that's it. That's the tweet. That is our conversation about the definitive webinar on the death of webinars. You will not hear us talking about webinars again. So with that, as a reminder, if you are a CMO and you're looking to have more flexibility, bring in more money, and have more fun at the same time, set up some time with me. I'd love to chat. You can find me at growpowerful.io. I've been really encouraged by the number of people that have been reaching out. 15-minute conversation. Some are Zoom calls, some are phone calls. Some I take while I'm sitting at my desk. Some I enjoy taking while I'm out on a dog walk. But I'd love to hear from you and know if the world of fractional CMO is interesting to you, if the community that we're building is interesting to you, and our model that we have that we think is working really well, in particular for emerging B2B technology companies that are either VC, venture capital, or PE, private equity backed. We'd love to have you there and talk with us. So thank you, and we hope you have a very productive, growing week. We'll see you in 2 weeks.